In the middle of the Bay of Fundy lies a mysterious place, Eel Haute. This remote island is surrounded by the world's largest tides and is steeped in human history and tales of spirits and buried treasure. Once a sacred gathering spot for the Mi'kmaq, Eel Haute later gained a reputation as a haunted ship killer by European explorers. Today the island is set to be protected as a national wildlife area for its unique bird habitat and cultural significance, with full access restrictions to follow. Ever since I learned about Eel Haute, I've been really curious to see what it's all about. While access is still possible with permission, the strong tidal currents of the bay and its remoteness make it really difficult to get there. But after some heavy planning and some luck, we found a weather window that may give us enough time to paddle and spend an overnighter on the island. So this is going to be about a 20-kilometer paddle into the Bay of Fundy, which has the strongest tides in the world. To pull off this trip, there's going to be 4 of us: myself, Mikey, Lucas, and Carl. The 3 of them are really good paddlers, way better than me. I am the liability. I would not be able to do this trip without them.
So high tides at 10:30 a.m. this morning. We're trying to get on the water for 8 a.m. And so what's going to happen is the flooding tide is going to be going into the bay, and we plan on using a bit of that current on a ferry angle. And then as the tide peaks, we have an hour and a bit of paddling left, and we're going to use that boomerang to bring us back into the Isle of Haute.
To get over in our window, we're aiming to paddle about 7 kilometers an hour. Which sounds crazy to me as a canoeist, but sounds like that's the thing you can do in a kayak. It's a little disorienting because we're just paddling towards, all we see in front of us is the island, but behind us, where we started, was way over there.
What's where are we to, Mikey?
5K and change.
Only 5K, eh?
Yeah. But we can't miss the island. So.
What happens if we miss it?
I think we go back. Or phone a friend. If it's 3 knots of current pushing away from the island and we're averaging 3 knots, if we get past it, we're not necessarily easily getting back to it.
The biggest concern is missing the island.
Oh yeah. If we miss the island, we're what are we? Another
royally screwed.
Yeah, we're another 4 hours. Another 4 hours, and we'll end up in Digby.
We'll have to learn how to pee and poo in a kayak.
Yeah.
We're moving slower than we thought. So it'll probably be about 4 hours to get there. Paddling my nuts off over here in the first hour, jeez.
I think we can almost point right at it. Plus whatever buffer I put in. So maybe 8 kilometers. But we have to talk in knots. We have to do our conversions. Mental math while fatigued.
We have about 8 kilometers to get to the island. We've been paddling 3 hours, and we're finally at a spot where we're turning towards it because the tide's behind us, and we're not worried about missing it. Having a dry suit is important, but I am sweating profusely under here. I have a small urge of having to pee, but I'm just ignoring it. Thinking about this crossing has made me pretty constipated too, so I don't have to worry about number 2. Woo! Nice.
Wow.
Carl.
Oh yeah, so good.
4 hours, 38 minutes, and 24 kilometers.
But we needed a slingshot, eh?
Oh, yeah.
Or we'd be in Digby.
That's high tide. And then we start getting pushed.
Bring it right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. All for one and one for all.
Tide in time waits for no man.
We got here. At one point, I didn't know if it was going to be possible. Over 4 hours to get here. But it feels really good to touch ground. That's probably the gnarliest thing I've ever done in a sea kayak. Pretty big crossing, and with those tides as well. A lot of factors in play.
Hope.
Troy Dobb, maybe 1917 or.
I think it's good.
Isle Haute is a high island right in the middle of the Bay of Fundy. And back in the day, ships used to crash into this thing all the time. I think there was 20 recorded shipwrecks on the west side. This also led to rumors of ghost ships haunting the island and buried treasure, which led to decades of treasure hunting. But because of the island being such a hazard, a lighthouse was eventually built here in 1878. The lighthouse burnt down a while ago, and now they put up a tower, so it no longer has to be manned. Isle Haute means high island in French. It was named by Samuel de Champlain in 1604. I don't know if he crash landed on the island or he just ended up on the island. But 300-foot cliffs here. This is a basalt rock, which means it's volcanic. And it's believed that this chunk of rock came from the North Mountain on the Nova Scotia side of the Bay of Fundy. The Bay of Fundy formed about 2 million years ago from continental rifting. The continents got pulled apart, and Isle Haute got pulled out with that rift. Anyways, there's a lot of history here, way back from the indigenous, then the Europeans, and the folklore. It's a pretty mysterious spot. This is awesome. I have my tent, shelter from the wind, and a table to boil water and cook dinner. It's like having a bachelor apartment out in the woods. I think it's time for a beer as well. Fundy Fog, how apropos. Hopefully, by drinking a few of these, it'll keep the fog away. Sea Level Brewing Company. Cheers. We got some ribeye steaks from the canning meat market for tonight. We have steak that we cooked on the stove, some salad, and some potatoes that we baked back home. Woo. So the plan tomorrow is to get up 6 o'clock, be on the water for 8 a.m. again. The wind is supposed to pick up to about 30 kilometers an hour, and there's potential for fog tomorrow morning. So the conditions are going to be a little tougher than we had today. We got to mentally prepare for what might come tomorrow. We're going to leave her here. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We're looking to start this morning around 8 a.m. to start about 2 hours before high tide. This time we're going to be slingshot out of the Bay of Fundy, and then on the second half we should be coming back in. But our target is a lot bigger because we're not trying to aim for an island, we just got to hit the shoreline. Winds are going to pick up to about 20 kilometers an hour, but to leave the island there's a bit of a tide race that we're going to have to go through. There's a lot of standing waves, which I'm pretty nervous about.
We're gonna paddle through a tide race that's forming off the spit of the island. And there's two currents that are coming together, so there's opposing forces that are meeting there. There's one stronger current, and that's pushing over top of the other one, and that's creating some standing waves. It creates this little tidal rapid into the open bay.
Order the bigger waves and head towards land.
Holy Once we got through all that slosh around the island, we got slingshotted. And we're paddling at like 10 kilometers an hour, using way less energy than it took to go 5K yesterday.
Yeah, we're downhill. Conquering hero. Woo!
Under 3 hours, we paddled 22K today, and yesterday it was 4.5 hours to go 24K. Guys, that is a wrap. We made it back to Harborville safe and sound. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe and give us a like. Also, if you're in Nova Scotia and want to buy a kayak, check out Old Creel, or if you want to rent and do a tour, check out Pleasant Paddling. Until next time, we'll see you then.